Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp, and to that episode where we take you through some interesting games that we've been playing.
Yeah, it's actually been a few weeks since we've done one of these. I think the last one was at Gamescom, and we had absolute nightmares trying to upload it. I think it scarred us, but we're over it now, so yeah, ready for another episode.
Oh, you're right, that was absolutely hellish, wasn't it?
It's horrendous.
But we have some cracking games in this episode. Let us know what you think of them and what your favourites are. What are our interesting games? Well, let's find out. Alright, thanks to HelloFresh who have sponsored this episode like they've done over a number of months now, and it seems like loads of you have been enjoying their products, so we're going to tell you a little bit about their latest deal. So I'm sure you're already aware HelloFresh is an online delivery service for fresh meals that are chef prepared and sent straight to your door.
Absolutely, and now that summer's done with, it's always done with in England to be fair, you may be looking for those meals to warm you up at night and save you some time and money. Well, each of HelloFresh's boxes is fully customizable to fit your preferences and includes pre-portioned ingredients, so you only pay for what you need.
Yeah, for sure, and with life obviously plans change and it gets very busy, and you're right, they allow you to adapt to different family situations, or for those who are concentrating on fitness and health, there are vegetarian options here, Glenn, so you'd be happy about that.
Good, yeah.
And you can tailor everything, including delivery dates and exactly what you get when, to your own schedule.
On top of that, they're currently giving all subscribers a free breakfast for life as long as your subscription is active. That means you'll get a free breakfast item with every HelloFresh delivery.
Lovely stuff. All right, click the link in the description or use our code and you'll get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life, one breakfast item per box while your subscription is active if you're in the US. But outside of the US, local discounts will apply.
Absolutely, and just once again, a very big thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Right, the first game I've been playing then came out a couple of weeks back, and it's like an onomatopoeic title. It's called Bzzzt. B-Z-Z-Z-T. Yeah. A bit like Super Meat Boy, that sort of, hardcore platformer.
Yeah.
Call them Twitch platformers, don't they? Mm-hmm. Not quite the same as that. But basic premise is obviously you play as a little robot and you have to get through each stage, get to like the warp zone at the end of each stage. Obviously loads of hazards to navigate, and you gain other powers as you go along, like a double jump and a dash and what have you. So the levels become more elaborate as you go along.
Nice. So what's the general setup for it? What's the premise?
So I think it's as I said, you play as a robot, and his name is something like ZX8000, which I'm sure is a little bit of a play on the old
Spectrum.
Yeah, the Spectrum ZX, exactly right. But you the laboratory where you're made is attacked by the big bad, who wants the ultimate secret weapon that he assumes every lab is making. And the scientists are like, what are you talking about? We haven't got one. So they get locked in a room and you have to go through and try and save them, basically, is the idea. But it does that thing in these sort of platformers, which is very good, of having collectibles that aren't essential, and they're always placed just out of your way, or just quite precariously.
Tantalisingly.
Yeah, exactly.
There.
Like you think, I can get that, and then you plummet to your death for the millionth time. And you, as well as that, so you get like a star for getting all the collectibles. They're little nuts.
Both excellent.
Both, choose which applies. But as well as that, you have a time to try and beat.
Okay.
And that's where that replayability comes in, because you get through the level and you're like a tenth of a second too slow, and you're like, I can do that. And you replay levels that you've already beat, and that's the sign of a good game, I reckon.
That really is. I can't stop looking at Glenn's face, right? He's put on this face cream that we got sent, and he's just looking so youthful.
It's great. Yeah, I feel 10 years younger already. I'm a changed man.
But so in terms of the actual level design, is it linear, like you move screen to screen, or can you go forwards and backwards?
It starts off with quite linear, like single screen levels, but obviously, as I said, they become more elaborate where they scroll with you.
Oh, okay.
They're still linear. Obviously, there's a clear way through. Yeah. But because they become bigger, and if you're going for those collectibles, you'll be going off the beaten path to a degree. They feel that bit more expansive. But it's more about time, really. It's one of those games where you're going to want to try and blitz through and get the best times, and you can use the bolts or the nuts, whichever one it is, to unlock special levels.
Yeah. And
also you can unlock some of them by getting perfects, by getting all of the collectibles and the time.
Okay.
That counts as a perfect,
Yeah, see, I also tried some of that, didn't I? That face cream. I'm sorry, I was listening to you, but you might notice I'm not crying, but my eyes are hurting, man.
Really?
I've got to go wash my face.
See, I thought you were just so inspired.
I was inspired and I was enjoying it, but I thought he must think I'm crying here.
You got perfects in that game. A single
glistening
tear just
eyes.
rolled down.
flip. You see my eyes? They're like getting moist.
They are positively moist.
Oh, mate. Well, it does sound very good. Is there anything else that you would say? Is there like boss fights and that kind of stuff?
There are boss fights, actually, yes. Well remembered, despite having not played it. Yeah, and again, they're almost like the old Sonic bosses sometimes. You know where the boss... Or actually, I'll tell you what, the first boss reminds me of the last boss in Super Mario World, where...
I remember it.
Bowser's crashing down onto the floor and ultimately he'll fall through and you have to make him crash onto the same spot multiple times. So they're that sort of... that's the vibe they're going for.
Oh, I love that vibe.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good vibe.
Great vibe. Lovely. All right, well, my first one then, let's go to a more modern, I don't know what you'd call it, like a platform adventure game, and it's called Bakeru.
Yep, okay. I remember it coming out, yeah.
So, yeah, there was a demo of this. I think it's one of those where, unfortunately, because we don't know Bakeru, it doesn't get the attention of your Marios and your other things, you know, your Sonics.
Yeah.
But it seems so far really good. So, essentially, Bakeru is like this, I don't know what they're called in Japan, but he can like transform into a human form or this like animal creature.
Yep.
And this small child turns up, and it's an alternate universe, Japan, obviously, where there are monsters and all sorts going on. This little kiddie rocks up, and he's like, I'm going to fix Japan. And then you're like, okay, good, you know, crack on. But then your little sensei fella, he's like, oh, you go with the kid, you know, you guide him across Japan to go and sort this out. So you obviously begrudgingly go off. It has got that kind of like adult tongue-in-cheek humour, which I quite like. Like the main character's pretty sarcastic. And then you head off and it feels like Japan's version of Crash.
Oh, okay. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's the full name for that?
What, Crash Bandicoot?
Crash Bandicoot.
Right,
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot. Especially the first stage and the way it begins. But then obviously it all goes completely bizarre. You've got these two like drum things.
Can I just, because I wasn't a big PlayStation player.
Yeah.
I have played Crash, but you played it from like behind him, didn't you? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. It's following like that. And the game, this one starts like that.
Right.
But then thankfully it opens up and lets you have full 3D control. But you'll see from the footage, it looks a bit Crash-like.
Yeah.
And you've got these two little drumsticks, slightly weird controls. They control with the bumper buttons.
Oh, yeah.
So right hand, left hand. You can do them together. There's the whole thing has this like drumming mechanic built into it. Like you're often smashing these things and then you have to hit a giant drum. You finish the stage by like drumming on this big old platform and it goes up.
Yeah.
But it has these skills, and I knew I'd forget the name of them because it's the way my brain works. But you can basically, you learn new abilities to shapeshift.
Right, yeah.
So quite early on, you shapeshift into a tiny version of yourself, and then you scuttle underground through these little tunnels, and you're looking at the bar, because if you stay underground, obviously, when it runs out, it's going to be game over, because you'll grow massive again.
Of course, yeah.
But it has a lot of that kind of stuff in it, and it's, I think it's quite good. I'm really enjoying it.
I seem to remember reading that you mentioned like fairy tale or like Japanese mythology. They flipped it so like the traditional Japanese heroes from those stories are the villains. Is that right?
So, and again, I'm going to get this wrong, but there's a hero called Momotaro.
Yeah.
He's gone missing or been captured or something.
Right.
Something like that. Or maybe he is the villain and I've just not got there yet.
Okay.
But yeah, you're not that person.
Yes.
So you're kind of going to help them. So yeah, it does feel like they flipped it.
Nice. Yeah, I do remember seeing this one, and you kind of summed it up perfectly. It looks so niche that chances are it would get lost, but at the same time, it looked quite good.
Yeah.
As you say.
Yeah, and it includes some things that you'd like.
Yeah.
Like it's got, each level, not only has it got its collectibles, but it's also got a trivia.
Oh, nice.
So you'll find these little fellas. You'll see one at the edge of this cliff by the lighthouse.
Right.
And it will give you a historical Japanese fact.
Yeah.
So I found the peeing cliff behind the lighthouse. And it was basically the most heroic warriors would go there and pee off the edge.
Oh, okay.
I was like, yeah, this is weird, but good.
I like that. Yeah, anything quirky like that.
Yes, yeah.
You know, why not? Yeah, that's good.
Good game, though.
Lovely. Yeah, sounds good. I like that. My next one is another platformer, actually. Funny
Nice.
enough. This is Shadow of the Ninja. I think it's Reborn. I think is the the tag. So this is obviously a game that came out in the past and has been remade. Still has a digital or pixel style, and it looks lovely. To be fair, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it really does.
It's really difficult.
Yeah, that reborn refers to you dying so much you're constantly getting reborn, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's one of those games where it will find its audience and people will swear by it and think it's incredible. And I can understand why, because the mechanics are solid, the level design is good, albeit enemies are thrown at you every which way from very early on. There are some bits of it I don't appreciate personally. I think the difficulty in and of itself is fine, but the options to make it more accessible are not great. You know, they're quite limited. And the whole mechanic, the main mechanic, is that you can find these, or this gear, so this like ninja gear, and you'll see them in chests as you go along, and they're like consumables, you know, that you have a finite amount of shurikens or like a health potion or what have you, and you switch between them at will, and then you earn coins at certain points that you can then spend to equip them at the start of runs to make it easier next time, obviously. But the way that you cycle through them is a little bit clunky for me, especially if you're having to do it on a boss, and I do think that becomes quite frustrating.
Completely, yeah. It's the exact same system as Monster Hunter where you're changing gear, but the difference is in Monster Hunter it's very easy to find a place where you can switch gear, or you do it outside of general. You've played a few of them, you've really enjoyed them. The difference for me here is actually I find the designs of some of the enemies here a bit cheap. So you'll go to the edge of the screen, 3 death balls will come flying down. It doesn't give you a safe spot to hide at all. Like, you can jump back and do some ballet moves to get, but it doesn't feel fun. Whereas for me personally, this is just me, whereas something like Dark Souls, every enemy has, it's not only that you can dodge it, it's that it's sensibly placed. You know, I see it coming, I know to prepare a certain style. This one, we get to the edge of the screen and I was dying.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, the 3 balls of energy, whatever they are, that's a good example because they fire towards you, the character. So if there's 2 of you, you can try and get one character to act as a diversion and then get in and get some hits. If you're playing single player, that wouldn't be possible. No. But as you say, Mark, you can't crouch, wait, jump up, hit, because if you jump up, you hit it, so you have to move slightly away from it, then jump, which takes ages, and it can hit you anyway from that crouched position, so you have to get all the way down. It's very tedious in a game like this, which should rely on speed. You're a ninja, you know, you've got all the ninja moves of holding on to things, pulling yourself up. If you go back to the original Ninja Gaiden on the NES, or I say the original, there was an arcade version first, but the original console version, pretty much, as far as I can remember, unless the old sand of time has lodged in my brain, but pretty much most enemies were one-hit kills.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what makes these games fun. You know, you are more powerful than the enemy. You are a ninja. It's not about standing there whacking away. You never want to do that. Not in public, anyway. It's about one-hit kill for everything, but there's a lot of them, you know, and this half gets that right and half doesn't. And some things take so many hits that it becomes a bit tedious. It's one of those that I want to like more than I actually do, and it's a shame because these people did things like the Ninja Saviors, which was another remake of an older game, which I thought was fantastic. Having played the original and played the remake was spot on.
Right.
I think this one just misses the mark for me personally, but I will say that there will be an audience that will really enjoy this game.
Yeah, I don't think I could add more really other than to complain about a few more things, so maybe I shouldn't. But things like like in the 2-player, Glen jumped down and he died because we didn't jump in perfect sync.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous.
Yeah,
come on, man.
It's a bit odd. There are a few strange choices there. Please let us know. Maybe let us know what you think, because I think it's one where some people are like, "Are you crazy? This game."
Yeah, maybe we're just rubbish.
Maybe we're just rubbish, and if we are, you know what? I embrace it.
So do I.
That's fine.
I'm gonna go and like naked run Dark Souls again, just to make myself feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, then we've got Wild Bar Stewards. Wild Bastards was released. The sequel to, what was the first one called? Not Inglorious. That's a completely different thing, isn't it?
What was it called? It was
Filthy
Bastards. It wasn't. Dirty Bastards.
Dirty Rotten.
Wild Bastards.
Those ones.
Yeah,
interesting. So it's taken things in a very different direction while still keeping the roguelike formula. The thing with Wild Bastards that I enjoyed was you kind of went with your ship and you just chose your route through the galaxy and boarded other vessels and stuff, and it had that real kind of, again, Red Dwarf feel to it.
Yes, it did, yeah.
This one's very different. It has a kind of Western feel, you know, like an American Wild West feel to it. You're a set number of these, what are they called? Wild Bastards? Hang on, Wild Bastards is the new one. We still haven't got the name of the old one, have we?
Oh, that's annoying and quite embarrassing.
Really embarrassing.
We just said the name again.
Void Bastards.
Yes, I don't think I'd ever got that.
Never. So, not Void Bastards, Wild Bastards. And are we going to get demonetised for saying we're bastards loads?
If we do, what a bunch of bastards
exactly.
They are. Absolute bastards.
Jokers. Someone at YouTube is like ticking on the list. Oh, they've gone past 10.
Yeah, they got one left. One left.
So Wild Bastards is basically these characters that are like Wild West.
Can't say it anymore now. We've reached
No.
Don't say
But now he's
bastard.
interrupted me. Look at his eyes. Look how happy he is. So we've got these set like characters, who are making their way across the universe. I can't remember why. I did listen to the story, but you know what it's like. Now, what was interesting is it's fully like voice acted.
Yes.
So this one's a real like curated story.
Right.
It all goes wrong from at the start. This weird ship arrives, like this famous ship that has an AI on it that goes around and only helps people when they're in a lot of trouble.
Okay, yeah.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
It helps you. And then you're riding in that ship, again from galaxy to galaxy.
Yeah.
Planet to planet, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. Planetoid,
Spaceport to what?
Planetoid.
Exactly.
At times, you know.
All of those.
Yep.
You choose where you land, and it gives you obviously the usual, like there are these different types of enemies there. You go down to the planet's surface, and it will very often give you a story mission within. This is where it gets a bit more interesting. So it'll be like, you need to find that on this planet.
Right.
And you've got your little, you know, what would you call those? Like different routes.
Yeah.
Different paths you can take.
Yeah.
You can see enemy patrols and all of that
What, like
jazz.
on a map? Actually, on a map.
Yeah, on the map view.
Yeah.
And you've got a set number of turns that you can take before you have to end your turn, and the enemy might move their pieces as well.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
So you go into a stage, let's say you arrive at one of the nodes and it's like a gunfight. You get to choose up to 2 of your wild bar stewards to join you on your adventure. I'm never going to say it again for the rest of this thing, by the way. And
You're going to say what?
That one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Exactly. You can't get me. So then you teleport down, and then it becomes a first person. I can't say person anymore. It's Persian because
Can't say bastard either.
Demonetized. It's over. The channel got shut down. No, then it becomes a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Like an enclosed one where
Yep.
you're battling against like either one set like boss type enemy or a load of them.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then it feels like Void.
Yeah.
You know, the first one.
First one, yeah.
In a way, but then the thing I liked with that is that it was kind of like slow paced, and you kind of moved around the environments,
it
you
was.
know, and you could kill enemies or you couldn't. You have to kill them all in this.
So is it a bit like the newer Doom games, where you kind of get locked in and it just goes mental for a minute?
Yeah, kind of, except that the whole level is that one locked in section.
Yeah.
So you've just got to defeat them. It does the thing where you can hear them talking, and it kind of shows you like an indicator of where they're speaking from, you know.
Right,
and
yeah,
they do
yeah.
the whole Void thing where they're in this, you know, they got this Cockney accents and these random people
Yeah.
going off, and like I say Cockney, it's Mockney, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I did enjoy it, and at first it was that kind of jarring thing of not what I expected. So I was like, I'm not enjoying this as much as I should be. But actually, it's got a nice bit of nuance. I liked the fact that you have to choose carefully where you go through these stages, because after a certain amount of time, a big group turn up to chase you. So you're kind of choosing where you go, trying to win that. It'll give you these like modifiers that you can apply to your character. That's cool. Like it'll be like faster reloads, like double guns, all that kind of stuff. And you can switch between your 2 wild individuals whenever you want by pressing the R bumper button.
Okay. Couple of questions then.
Go.
So it describes itself as like a tactical game, if you like, with that first-person shooting. So you mentioned the map screen, but I take it never actually plays like a tactical RPG. I suppose you just get drawn into battles, do you? Is that
There are tactical elements. So on the map, there are things like you can come across like a sniper, and you can then use that, like you would in a board game, to take out one of the other units without actually having to fight them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where they're going with the tactical. When you're in combat, it doesn't feel tactical at all.
No. So it's just like a free-for-all.
Yeah, it really is. There's actually, on that note, that's where I would improve the game quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's little things like being able to lean around the corner I would really like to do in this game.
Yeah.
So developers, put that in, come on. Like it just feels like it needs it. There's a lot of times where you just want to peek out quickly, shoot, and then get back in. You can duck down, which is helpful, you know, and then pop up and that kind of thing. But again, you've got the switch controls, man. If you've got a 60 frames per second shooter, it needs gyro. It needs gyro. It does. Because it just feels clunky for me.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Like, I don't use it as much as you do, but in a first-person shooter, you should always have the option, shouldn't you?
I don't know why it's not there.
Yeah, no, that's odd. That is odd. What about the roguelike side? Like, what happens when you die? What do you keep? It's
quite interesting, actually. So the death, again, is handled slightly differently. So let's say one member of your group dies.
Yeah.
You can end up finding, like, what do you call it? Their coffin, and then you can take that onto your ship.
Yeah.
And then when a character levels up at the end of a stage, you have a choice of either leveling up your character or resurrecting the fellow in the coffin.
Yeah.
And that's how you get new characters as well, because you'll come across their bodies and whatnot.
Oh, that's cool.
But it does that really nice thing that we're starting to see more of, where the story plays out over runs.
Over the runs,
you know, and they're like, oh, good to see you again, like you died in the whenever it was.
Do you know what they should have done?
Yeah.
You mentioned Read the Wall. You should have been able to bring one of them back as a hologram.
Yes.
And maybe then, you know, bullets go through them, but they can't pick something up or whatever, you know.
We are available for consultations.
Yeah, just give us a bell. We'll sort you out, don't worry.
But it's already starting to hit that addictive phase, because I was playing this last night and I was like, oh, it's midnight, one more run.
Yeah.
Or one more like stage. I haven't actually died yet. No, that wasn't a flex, but it should be. And it has that hook, right?
It wasn't a flex. Literally flicked his eyebrows up as he said it. Put a pair of sunglasses on.
Nah. But yeah, I mean, I can see the hooks getting in already. I think it's one that they really should put a demo out of.
Yeah, it sounds like an ideal game for that, to be fair, yeah.
So that's me.
Lovely. Right, my last one, I think it is Sociable Soccer.
Sounds like Sensible Soccer.
It does sound like Sensible Soccer. To be fair, the reason it sounds like Sensible Soccer is because John Hare, who was one of the co-founders of Sensible Software, and therefore, obviously, Sensible Soccer, is behind this game.
Nice. We called it Sensi.
Sensi back in the day, exactly right, yeah. And it was a fantastic game. Our Sensible World of Soccer, SWOS, as it was otherwise known.
Correct. Does it hold up?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I think it has that same gameplay. It starts off bizarrely with the default camera being side on, you know, a la FIFA, or, you know, other football games are available, but you can change it to that shooting up or shooting down view which Sensible Soccer used.
So it's 3D then?
No, it's like you know, like Sensible, you either ran downwards or you ran upwards, and it showed.
Yes,
you know what I mean, don't you?
I do.
The footage will be showing.
I do remember.
But it started off as a default, the more traditional or expected left to right.
Yes.
But you had to change it to that classic view, if you like.
Did you change to the classic view?
Oh yeah, 100%. You have to, didn't you? You've got to. And it has like the curved shots, had like the after. What did they call it back in the day? After curve or something that you could apply to your shots. It's got all that, so you can score some worldies. It uses like a cartoony style that I don't really like. It just looks cheap, and I don't like to say that because it's not a bad game at all, but it's just that art style. It gives you that impression as soon as you look at it. And if you look at the classic little Diddy players that you used to have in Sensi, it doesn't come close to that nostalgic feeling. But it's a good game, and it doesn't have like a career mode or like a management mode, which Sensible Soccer had, but it does have a career mode where you, a bit like Ultimate Team in FIFA, you get cards of players.
Okay.
And you can upgrade them. It was quite clever, actually. It had the player that gets man of the match gets XP and then starts to level up, and you can level up to a point and then a card will max out. But every time you finish a season and if you get promoted, you'll get a new card, you know, rewards. Or every time you win a game, you get stars, and if you get X amount of stars, you get a new card that way, and you start to gradually get better players.
Yeah.
And I felt it handled that, I wouldn't say better than Ultimate Team, but Ultimate Team, obviously because you can buy stuff with real money as well, if you want, you can just buy the best immediately, or you can save up for the gold packs or whatever it is. Here it felt like a slow burn, but I liked that slow burn of gradually either improving the players you have or every so often getting one better player.
Yeah, nice. Did it have the option to change the name from Bluebird London United?
No, it doesn't. But what it does do, some of the names are correct, some of them aren't. But what they have done sneakily is the 3-letter abbreviation is always correct.
Right.
So like Spurs Arsenal, Tottenham Arsenal. Tottenham are called Tottenham, thankfully. Arsenal are called Ashburton Grove, which they've been called in other games before. But when you play, the abbreviation is TOT for Tottenham and ARS for Arsenal. Yeah, for Ashburton Grove. So you get that nice feeling of playing against the proper team. It's got a nice selection of teams in it. It has got real players in it as well.
Oh, okay.
So they've got some licenses there for sure.
Right.
What I don't like about it, and I don't like about games in general, is you have to be online to play it.
Why?
Because, I mean, you don't play against other people, but I think it's one of those instances where you play against like versions of other people as the people that you play in, the teams you play in your league, and then you go up and down.
Does it affect theirs? Like, is this?
Yes. No, I don't think it does. I think it's almost like it takes a capsule or like a caption of you. This is you as a player, and it uploads that for people to play against. So it does nothing to you. It doesn't affect you.
Okay.
I think that's how it works, because then there's a global leaderboard.
Right.
But it doesn't let you ever play offline. Like, I took my daughter swimming the other day and I brought that with me, and it just wouldn't let me sign in, wouldn't let me play. And it annoys me. Like, it's a football game.
The technology exists that doesn't need to be the case.
Yeah.
You know, you have tokens and it sends a token whenever you are online and keeps their server up to date. It's a bit lazy.
Or just say you won't get any progress for this play session.
Yeah.
Do you still want to play? Yeah, I do.
Let me play.
Let me play. I'm sitting here doing jack all now.
Ashburton United are waiting.
Exactly. But I did enjoy it, and it was nice to play, you know, something that felt like Sensible some 30 odd years later.
The most sensible thing you've done all day.
Exactly right. Wasn't putting that cream on, that's for sure.
Oh, my eyes have stopped stinging actually.
Oh, good.
So that's good. All right, my last one then caught my eye in one of your upcoming games quite a while ago. It's called Broken Roads. Remember this one?
I do, yeah. Yes, I feel like it was one that crept out and when at the start of a video as opposed to being in the bulk of the previous week's video, you know?
Yeah, I think that describes a lot of like the good releases that we're getting. They just kind of sneak out.
Yes.
And it feels like, I don't want to sound like a big head, but like it feels like if you don't cover them, no one knows about them.
Yeah, they can get lost quite easily.
They can get lost quite easily. This is one that is known about because it was previously out on PC, and it's a CRPG, like a classic top-down isometric,
Yep.
massive RPG. Has some real Mad Max feels to it.
Yes, I got that vibe from the trailer.
Yeah, you've got obviously Australian. It's set, I believe it's set in Australia as well. Kind of post-apocalyptic. I'm not too far in. I don't really know the background of it, but it does present itself in a great way. You know, it's got that that dialogue system where the skill points that you put into your character affect the outcomes of different conversations. It's building up the story quite nicely. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes there's an intangible element where you just don't get invested quite as quickly.
Yeah.
You know?
I find certain games, CRPGs actually are a good example. Not always, obviously, but there are times, because generally you're kind of just dumped in a big world and someone will talk to you about something that's not massively relevant, just to sow a seed, and then you're left to go and explore. It can sometimes be hard to get a grasp of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find, especially sometimes in these games, that obviously the longer you're in them, the more you're invested almost in the character that you've created.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the answers you've given. And early in this one, they're clearly trying to accommodate for all these different things. I think I'm like a gun runner or a gunslinger or something like that. Then that plays into your dialogue options. But if you've played, you have actually, Wasteland 2.
I played Wasteland 2. I played Atom RPG as well, which is similar,
it's a good game.
I would assume. Yeah, it is a good game, yeah.
Yeah, there's a good few of these actually, really good titles on Switch. It does quite a few nice set pieces, which I like. Very often you can go through the world and not a great deal changes.
Yeah.
People that love these types of games will remember early on in Fallout 3 where there's the town that can essentially get nuked within the first hour.
I remember that, yeah.
You remember?
I remember that decision, yeah.
Like, that's amazing. And then here, like, some big, reasonably big events happen quite early on.
And it shuts it off for the rest of the game.
Shuts it off for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That's mad,
yeah,
isn't it?
that's crazy. What a choice to, for the dev team.
Yeah.
To put into their game. Like, we'll go all this work into this town, but you could conceivably not see it for the whole game within the first hour. Yeah, fair play.
I think that's why people like Fallout, because it's one of the few games where choices genuinely made a difference, isn't it?
There's a big consequence, yeah.
So I wouldn't say that this is as deep as that, you know. I think there must be like this preciousness, mustn't there? It's like, well, they're going to miss out on all my storylines.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said this before with like side quests.
Yeah.
You know, you can make a fantastic side quest. And there have been games that have things like Red Dead Redemption, which you could just never see. And on the one hand, you're like, oh, come on, man, like show that. But on the other, what a brave decision.
Yeah, I'd say it makes a big and it also adds replayability. When we all kind of went back to Fallout and realised that town didn't have to be nuked, I'm not saying I nuked it. That was a big shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So this one, it feels a little more safe, I think is probably the best way of putting it. I'm not fully invested with some of these characters, but I am at that stage where I kind of know what my character's going to be. I play these very differently to you. You know, I very much take on a character and very often an absolute bar steward.
yeah.
You know, like just to see if it let me.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll go for that dialogue option that's like flip. I'd never say that in real life.
Yeah.
What will happen?
It's funny, yeah, because I do the opposite. What was that one we were playing? The one you like?
Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium, thank you, sir. Yeah, when I play these games, I play them from the point of view of if the dialogue option is something I would never say in real life. Obviously, if you're dealing with like a cyborg in space or a mutant, it's a bit different. But for general conversations, I won't choose it, whereas you go all out, don't you?
I do, and you know, I'm sitting there thinking I think I probably would say all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I do need to play more. It's one that I would like to do a late review of.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's one that would also do quite well for a late review because there was a bit of interest at launch. I remember you can always tell, can't you, because the upcoming games video sometimes will do very well.
Yes.
Because there's a few games in there that loads of people are interested in.
Yes, yeah, exactly that. It doesn't even have to be the thumbnail. It's just people know that week there are good games coming and they want to, find a bit more out about them, I guess.
Like the one that's just gone.
Like the one that's just gone, yeah.
Did
exactly.
very well.
That was a good week, to be fair, wasn't it?
Really good. If you missed it, you should
yeah.
probably
give it a watch. Why not?
Yeah, there'll probably be a link down there somewhere. So yeah, I haven't got a huge amount to say. It's got turn-based combat. There's a stage early on where the town's attacked. Again, you can't say a huge amount without spoiling it. But turn-based combat, you're classic. You can hide behind cover. You can choose your moves and then perform a few attacks. Using cover's important. It has different ratings and things like that. But yeah, so far, so good. Just not quite the instant grab me by the cojones I was thinking it was going to be.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Not all games tend to want to grab you by the short and curlies, do they? Some have got a bit more respect than actually.
Exactly. So yeah, let us know what you thought of our list of games. I think there's some good ones there.
I think so, yeah. All quite new as well for the most part. And yeah, as we always say, do let us know of any games you've been playing recently, new or old, that you deem interesting for whatever reason.
Lovely. If you want to save yourself 5% on your eShop credit, you can do so over at switchup.gg. Just by buying stuff on there, buying your eShop credit, you'll get 5% in cash back on your next purchase.
There's other bits and bobs, Joy-Cons, all that caper. Please do have a look. Anything you do purchase does help the channel and it's much appreciated. Quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.